So, what I've got here, these are what's called altimeters. Okay, they're going to come in these little pink bags when we go out to launch our rockets. And these are what's going to measure how high our rockets go. We didn't use them on our first launch because we weren't sure how many of your rockets were going to actually work correctly and survive. And these things are about $100 each, so we didn't want to break a bunch of them. But when we go out and launch them for the actual competition, you're required to have one in your rocket so we can know how high the rocket went and get a score, basically, from the judge. Alright, and the way they work is they work by measuring the atmospheric pressure, or the air pressure. Okay, so down on the ground, the air pressure is going to be higher, and then the higher you go up into the atmosphere, the air pressure gets lower and lower as you go up. So, like you guys have heard of people who climb big tall mountains a lot of times have to bring their own oxygen with them. Well, that's because the air pressure up there in those higher altitudes gets super low and there's not enough air for them to breathe. So these kind of work on that same principle. They can tell the difference in air pressure, which lets them tell how high the rocket went. Okay. The problem with them is that, especially the ones we have, they're very simple little machines, right? There's not a lot of complex stuff going on there. It's basically just a battery, the air pressure sensor, and a little speaker, okay? So it can't show us on a readout or anything, because it doesn't have a screen, of what the atmosphere was. So what it does is it beeps at us in code, okay? These still have the data from last year's launches on them. So when I put this little key here, let me see if I can get you a good view of it. There's two little prongs there. This thing doesn't want to focus. But there's two little prongs right here. And they come with this little tiny black piece that connects the circuit there. So when I put this on, it's going to give one long beep. And then it's going to start beeping little short beeps in a sequence. Okay? Each set of little short beeps represents a digit in the altitude that your rocket got to. So if it beeps 6 times, and then pauses, and then beeps 4 times, and then pauses, and then beeps 8 times, and then pauses, that would be 6, 4, 8, so your rocket went 648 feet. That's kind of all there is to it. Okay? The only thing that tends to trick people is that if it beeps 10 times in a row, that represents a 0. Okay? So let's listen to this one. You'll hear the long beep first. Okay, so that was 9. And 8. And then 10. So 980, this rocket went 980 feet in the air. Okay, that's kind of all there is to it. They're not too complicated once you know how to read them. So what we're going to do, I've got 3 other ones here that we used last year. I'm going to put the key on them. I'm going to play them for you twice, and then you guys are going to have to answer what the altitude of that flight was. Okay, so let's listen to this first one here. Okay, so that was the first time. I'll play it one more time for you. I'll try and point it towards my microphone over there. Okay. Here's the second one. Alright, I'll play it one more time. Alright, and then here's the last one. Alright, one more time. So that's what it's going to sound like after we launch them. The only difference is after you launch them, okay, they're also going to tell you the max speed that your rocket got to in miles per hour. And then they'll do this kind of warbly siren noise for about 10 seconds to help you find your rocket if it's laying out in the grass or something. And then they'll repeat the process over. So they'll tell you max velocity, max speed, do the siren noise for a little bit, and then they'll start over and loop through that until you find your rocket and can write down what your altitude was.